we do have to be able to judge each other's character. That's kind of the basis of a free society, right? To be able to make honest, yes, humane, but honest appraisals of each other's character and each other's fitness for office and responsibility. And that's what this system of bullying or intimidation by force of wealth via lawyers and spies and so on, that's what that shuts down. And that is essentially the difference between a free society and an unfree one, whether or not we can scrutinize those who wield power effectively through the media or through any other means.
What the hell is wrong with these rich people? I mean, I guess I grew up in the, look, I've made some measure of wealth, but I grew up in the middle class, the blue collar middle class. I thought we had a great life. I don't understand why you have to be this rapacious where you have to rip through everything. You're going to be dead anyway. What the hell is wrong with these people, Tom? Go ahead. What's your insight there?
I think about that question a lot. And actually, there's a bigger question, which is, what's wrong with anyone in certain positions of power? I mean, before I was thinking about rich people, I was thinking about the people who order and carry out massacres in Nigeria, where I used to live. Or I was thinking about the oil ministers in Angola who had cut themselves on oil deals, siphoning off money that could have alleviated the poverty in the slums. And now this question, it is the central one. It's one I try to grapple with at the very end of the book, at the very end of Cuckoo Land, of like, what is going on here? What is this motivation that makes people spend huge amounts of money to have a version of themselves broadcast into the world that they want? And now I'd be fascinated to know what you think. Lots of rich people, but I actually think they're no different from the rest of us. I think that anyone wants to broadcast an idealized version of themselves. God knows millions of people spend enough time on Facebook doing exactly that. And any of us would want our secrets kept secret. And any of us would want the things we've done wrong in the past buried away forever and no one be able to discuss them. The problem is that the system exists built around the legal system, really, that allows people who accrue that much wealth, an oligarch, the boss of a multinational corporation, whoever it may be, to indulge those desires. That's the problem. I think that many of us, I'm sure there are a virtuous few. I think if you gave Mandela $1 billion, maybe he wouldn't have done that. But I'm not sure I can declare myself angelic enough not to feel the urge, if I had that much wealth, to do this, to crush scrutiny of myself. The problem is that we've allowed that system to develop that can be used in that way.
Yeah, well, listen, I'll express my humanity to you. I went to work in the White House, all ego-related reasons. I wanted to work for the President of the United States. And even though he was Cuckoo Land, the definition of him, it happens to be the title of your book, I did it anyway to suit my ego. So I am, like everyone else, I'm very human, and I have these sensitivities and these traits. Let's go to a gentleman by the name...
Anthony, could I pick up something? Because something that there was a real moment. I actually put it in my previous book, this moment, 𝗕ptocracy. It's about how dirty money is conquering the world. There was an extraordinary moment while you were in the White House that I think really illuminates this. And I don't want to get into the huge, vast saga of Trump Russia, but I did write in a previous book about how so much of Trump's wealth came from the former Soviet Union, from really corrupt countries, and that he sort of revived a business career by using his brand as a reality TV star to renting out that brand to people who wanted to be able to pump money into US real estate, no questions asked. Essentially, he was facilitating an alternative reality for people with often very dubious fortunes from the former Soviet Union. And then it's that, I think, that gives us such an insight into how he governed. And there was that, first of all, in the friends he made, his friendliness with other ultra rich people. I put Putin high in this list, who wanted to be able to dominate the truth. But then there's that incredible moment, isn't there, when you talk about the guy who sinks the 3-foot putt, and the next day the White House transcript says, "This is a guy who sinks 30-foot putts." And I thought that was such an electrifying Cuckoo Land moment. At the time, I hadn't conceived of the book, but actually, looking back, that's an extraordinary moment when you saw the basic rule break down, that we all have to have a certain respect, that some things happened and some things didn't. And that was an extraordinary moment. And I think it's that kind of sense of entitlement to literally rewrite reality that I'm trying to describe.
So it's interesting you bring that up because he does sink those putts. And I also said, just to add insult to injury, I said he threw a 40-yard spiral through a tire. And of course, people said I made that up. And so thankfully, there was a YouTube video of him doing it at the Buffalo Bills stadium because I was present at the time that it happened. And thankfully, I was able to find the video. So people thought I was like blowing smoke up his you know what. Okay. Now, I also saw him hit a foul shot in Madison Square Garden. So the problem is we dislike him because he's a sociopathic liar, but there are elements of his personality and his personage where he does do those things. You know, he is somebody that doesn't choke under pressure. And so I told the truth about those things. A lot of journalists ridiculed me, but thank God there were tapes of actually what I was explaining. So, but
what was extraordinary, wasn't it? It was that even nonetheless, even though you were describing, remarkable, pretty cool things he was able to do, someone decided that he couldn't live with just having putted a 3-foot putt. It had to be 30. And so the transcript was changed. The transcript, the sacrosanct White House transcript was changed.
I didn't realize that the transcript was changed. But you know what I'm sort of flattered by this, Tom. I hope you don't mind me saying this way. You know, that happened 7 years ago. Do you know how many people remember that press conference? And so because all I did was go to the press podium and be myself and answer the questions to the best of my capability. I certainly wasn't going to lie for them. You could read, you could go over the press. That happened 10 years ago on the 21st. I'm sorry, 7 years ago on the 21st of July, 2017. And I've watched it. All I did was try my best of my capability to tell the truth of what I saw.
Yeah, but check that transcript, man. I thought the transcript change was an extraordinary moment. I'm sorry, I took you off on a tangent. I took you off on a memory there, but
I wanted something really good for the country, and I was speaking aspirationally for the country and aspirationally about him. 10 short days after that, and I served 11 days. It was 10 days after that I got fired. But he doesn't have it in him. I mean, he just does not have it in him. He doesn't have the public service or the public mindedness in him to try to do well for other people. I think ultimately, my life and my reflections on life, you want people in public service that actually like people. You want people in public service that want to serve people. My grandmother had a great expression. I'll share it with you, Tom. The best among us choose not to judge human frailty so harshly. And so we recognize in our humanity, we have frailty. And so therefore, let's not be overly judgmental of each other, but in fact, try to help each other through whatever the problems we have. He is the antithesis of that, unfortunately.
And I think, though, I think that's a beautiful expression, but I think, and this is, again, something I try to grapple with so much in Cuckoo Land, is that we do have to be able to judge each other's character. That's kind of the basis of a free society, right? To be able to make honest, humane, but honest appraisals of each other's character and each other's fitness for office and responsibility. And that's what this system of essentially bullying or intimidation by force of wealth via lawyers and spies and so on, that's what that shuts down. And that is essentially the difference between a free society and an unfree one, whether or not we can scrutinize those who wield power effectively through the media or through any other means.